Hello friends! So in today's video, I wanted to do an update on my no/low spend year from 2023, this last year, and also going into another low spend year in 2024, how my opinions have changed, things that I feel like I succeeded in, things that I failed in, things that I missed, didn't miss, and how I'm going to adjust moving forward. Also, what I learned about myself and spending and the spending culture that we live in. So first of all, let's look back on this last year and look at the things that I feel like I did good in and the things that I feel like I kind of struggled in. So I'm just gonna pull up my list from last year and we're just gonna go through it one by one. So first I wanted to do no store-bought bread. And this was a huge success. I think the whole year I only purchased one loaf of sourdough bread. And it was actually such a good thing because I was able to see the difference in taste and quality with store-bought bread compared to homemade bread. And homemade bread, not only is the price so much better and so much cheaper, that it's something that I enjoy, but it just also tasted so much better. And I kept thinking like, man, this isn't even worth the calories. So that was something that I feel like I succeeded in and that I'm gonna continue this next year to not do any store-bought bread. Next on the list was no eating out unless it's for a friend. So that meant I wanted to try and not eat out at any restaurants unless a friend really wanted to, and that was kind of their love language. They wanted to go out to a fancy dinner with me, maybe get a little dressed up and spend some quality time with me in that way. And that I have friends like that, that's really important for them. And so I definitely feel like I did well with this. I don't feel like I ever really suggested like, hey, let's go out to eat. It's just become less and less something that is of value to me. I'm just not a restaurant person. I get super distracted in restaurants. It's really hard for me to focus because there's so much noise and other conversations, music playing, just people around. I would so much rather either get takeout with someone and eat it at home or make dinner at home. And the whole time that I'm sitting there, I'm thinking like, man, this isn't really worth it. So I feel like I did pretty good at that. I will say the one area where I partially failed / changed my opinion on is DoorDash for this year. And let me tell you why. I feel like I had a mix with this of positive and negative experiences. I don't think that I actually bought that much on DoorDash this year. I think over the entire year, I think I might have done DoorDash less than 10 times, which of all the categories, I feel like that's the one that I splurged on the most. And, you know, my original goal was to do it 0 times. So I think that that's the one that I probably failed on the most. But let me tell you how my opinion changed on this. I had a few situations because I can look back on my spending and all my purchases through the DoorDash app, and I can see the different times that I order DoorDash. And I definitely know that some of those times I didn't feel good about those purchases. Like an example of, there was one day that I had a really hard day. Like I don't think that I did any DoorDash until probably July. And I had had a really hard day and I felt sad about something, kind of emotional. And I impulse ordered I don't even remember what it was. I think it was like Chinese food or something like that. And then in the same night, I impulse ordered ice cream. So the amount of money that I spent on DoorDash in one day was kind of crazy. And that was an example of like, that's the thing that I'm trying to break. I'm trying to break that habit. And I want to be able to work through, why am I having big feelings? What are the things that are actually going to bring me comfort and actually going to bring me peace? And it's not spending money and it's not food. So that's an example of something where I really want to work towards changing that, and still working on that in this next year. An example of where I feel like DoorDash actually really came in handy, that made me think like, man, I am so thankful that I live in a world that I have this technology and this convenience available. Over the summer, we have been building the cottage that I live in right now. And at the same time, so I've been living with my parents while we were building the cottage. And during the same time, my mom had a pretty intense surgery. And for this surgery, she wasn't able to really get up and do much. So a lot of her meals and care, what she needed help with. So it was either my dad or I helping her, cooking for her. And at the same time, my dad and I were working on the cottage, doing all the drywall and texturizing, painting, doing flooring. My mom ended up helping with a lot of that stuff later, but there was a couple months of time where she was needing a lot of help, and Dad and I would be working all day at our normal day jobs and then working on the cottage in the evenings and our days off. And it was hard work, like especially when we were doing the drywall. Like I have so much respect now for drywall people because it was such a hard job. And during that time, having to think of meals and having to cook, and after a long day and just not having time, it was so nice and convenient to be able to just order something for all of us. So stuff like that, like I'm so thankful that I had that. And there definitely, could have been ways that I could have creatively worked around that. But in that season, it was just a sweet blessing to be able to have the convenience, and it was worth my money. So I don't think that I'll have a lot of those situations in the next year. I don't think that I'll really need to have DoorDash in my life, hopefully at all. I should give myself like maybe 5 times in the year to order DoorDash. That feels like a realistic amount of, if I have a situation like that where I really need it, then I have the opportunity. But if I can avoid it in any other way, I'm gonna avoid it. Next on my list was no coffee from stores / drive-thrus. And this was such an easy one, honestly. I did not miss this at all. I don't like spending money on something like this because especially a lot of coffees are so expensive. It's like $7 by the time you pay for a drink that's, I feel like, is actually delicious and somewhat healthy. And it usually doesn't taste how I want it to. I'm kind of a basic person with coffee where I just kind of prefer coffee from home with like store-bought creamer. It's just more delicious to me and way cheaper. So, and I just like to enjoy my coffee in the comfort of my own home. Again, with the distraction thing, I don't want to go out to a coffee shop and be distracted. One thing I might do is I might have a handful of work days over the next year where I want to sit in a coffee shop and work, maybe work alongside a friend. And in that situation, I think that would be worth it because I'm investing in a friendship, I'm getting stuff done, but it's not going to be for the sake of the coffee at all. It's going to kind of fit more in the category of spending time with friends and spending money in that way. I didn't spend any money on alcohol this year. That was a really easy thing to let go of. I haven't drank at all in 2 years now, and I haven't missed it at all. It has been the best decision of my life, and I have a whole video talking about why I cut alcohol out of my life, and I do not miss it at all. So I'm gonna stick with that, and I'm going to continue to not buy alcohol in this next year. Face wash, I didn't miss that at all. I've either just used a bar of soap or grapeseed oil, and that has worked totally fine. My skin has never been better, and it's way cheaper, and I think way better for your skin too. Cheap jewelry, didn't buy any cheap jewelry this year. Don't regret that. I'm just not in a jewelry mindset in general, but especially cheap jewelry. I just don't want to have any more of that. It hurts my ears. I don't think it looks good on me, and I just don't need to spend my money on that. So that was an easy thing to let go of. Books, I didn't buy any books. I read a lot of books on Hoopla, which is the free library app that I use. I just put my library card information into this app, and it gives so many audiobooks and ebooks that you can read, and all of my reading has been through that this year. Or I've probably been gifted like 3 books. Less store-bought meat. This wasn't a hard rule because there are some things that I just needed to buy, like chicken. I don't have a good source for chicken, and I eat a lot of chicken. So I gotta figure that out. But pretty much every other type of meat I was able to either harvest myself, have my family member harvest, or raise. I harvested a buck this year, which was so fun, so exciting. That gave me a lot of meat for my freezer. I'm raising pigs right now for myself and my family, and I'm gonna get a lot of meat from that. And my grandparents raised a steer, so have some beef from that, have some fish, some salmon that we harvested. I also purchased a pig from a friend of mine. That was a big source of meat for me this last year too. So I just didn't really have to buy a lot of store-bought meat. Also store-bought vegetables. I didn't really have to buy a lot of store-bought vegetables because I was able to have a big garden this year, which was so fun. And there just wasn't really a lot that I had to purchase. I still did purchase, but I would say I grew like 60 to 70% of my vegetables. So still room for improvement, but I think a success. The next category was tampons, pads. That was so easy to cut out. This last year I've been using reusable pads, which they've worked, but they haven't been my favorite. Just because they are a little bit uncomfortable and bulky and a little bit more hassle. So I did end up purchasing a disc, and that has been so much better. That has been so much easier. I'm never going back to pads or tampons. I might occasionally use the reusable pads, but that has saved me so much money. Thinking of how much money you have to purchase over your lifetime on disposable pads and tampons as a woman is just crazy to me. It is crazy to me. So if I can avoid that, I'm going to do it. The last category was beauty treatments like facials, haircuts, nails, tanning, waxing, lashes. I didn't miss any of this. I didn't miss anything. The only thing I might have missed a little bit is I missed tanning a little bit because it just feels so warm and cozy, and especially in these cold, wet winter months, it's just so nice and relaxing. But I have swapped that out for the sauna occasionally, and eventually I would love to have a sauna. That would be amazing. But even with missing that, like I haven't gone tanning in over a year and a half, probably 2 years now. So I just haven't really missed it. Those things have been easy to let go of. There's not a priority in my life right now. I've just had a family member cut my hair when I needed trim. I am not a nail person, like a fake nail person. I don't like spending my time or my money getting those done. Same with lashes. I used to have fake lashes. I don't miss those anymore at all. It just, I don't like the look of them anymore. And they would take so long and be so expensive. So easy to let go of. Now next, I want to go into some of the things that I've been thinking about that I won't be spending money on going into 2024. Now, honestly, I'm gonna kind of build on last year because everything that I did last year, I didn't really miss. So I don't think that I really want to spend my time or money on those things. So a couple things that I'm going to add in is I'm going to try and hone in again on DoorDash and cut that out, probably give myself maybe 5 times of doing DoorDash throughout the year, and I think that's reasonable. No new home decor, like buying home decor at like Target, Hobby Lobby, Amazon. I want to try and buy any home decor that I might need thrifted or on Facebook Marketplace. That's mostly what I've done anyways, but I really want to make that a rule this year and see if I can stick to it and follow through. I'm not going to do store-bought bread again. I've started making a sandwich loaf out of sourdough bread, and that's been such a success and so fun. Another thing I'm not going to buy this year is no new jeans. I feel like I have a really good collection of jeans that fit me really well, that are good quality, that I really like, that I've invested some money in, and I just don't think that I'll need any more unless for some reason they really get ruined or ripped. Winter coats, I'm pretty solid on winter coats. I don't think that I need anything. I think I have like 3 really good winter coats that I enjoy wearing and that kind of go with every different occasion. Store-bought meats, I'm not gonna do that again, besides maybe chicken. Any new subscriptions, Netflix, like anything new subscription wise. I just don't want to do subscriptions. If I am going to buy something, I don't want to feel like I have to buy it from a specific place because I'm paying the subscription. I want to buy it from wherever I want to and feel like, oh, I need to spend money on this subscription because I already pay $5 a month, and so I need to purchase through that app. No new pets. 2 dogs is plenty. I don't need any more pets for this year. That doesn't mean that I won't be getting more animals to raise for meat, for more like farming sort of stuff. I might be doing that, but not more pets. No new makeup products. I feel like I've kind of honed in on exactly the makeup products that I like, that I use every day, that are simple and easy, that are good on my skin, and that aren't too expensive. So I don't really want to try new products this year. It might be a priority for the future, but this year I just want to stick to what I have, to what I know, take that decision off the table. I don't want to have to like be shopping around for other things, for new lipsticks, for new bronzers or whatever. I just want to stick with what I have and commit to it this year. Weekend trips this year. I have a friend that lives on the coast and a friend that lives up in Portland. So I might try and do, and then I have my sister lives up in Seattle. And so I might try and do like 3 weekend trips this year, but I have a couple bigger trips planned. Like I'm going to Europe this year to visit my friend, and I'm going to Texas. So I don't want to be spending money on little trips on top of that. I'm just going to focus on those 2 big trips, commit my time, commit my money to those 2 big trips, and not worry about doing a lot of extra trips this year. I'm still not going to do a gym membership. I do need to try and figure out like some sort of way of getting some exercise on the daily. So I might try and figure that out this year, but it's not going to be in a gym and I'm not going to pay for it. So the last thing is supplements. I've really pared down all the supplements that I have been buying, and I've started doing like beef liver and things that are more of like a whole food supplement that I know the ingredients in, that I know are gonna be nourishing my body and don't have synthetic stuff, don't have a lot of extra stuff, aren't super expensive, and then I can see an actual results. Because I feel like this last year I cold turkeyed all my supplements and I really didn't feel any difference. And so to me, I was like, I feel like I've been scammed. So I'm just really going to be cutting back on the supplements that I buy and try and get my nourishment from my food, having good whole foods, drinking plenty of water, getting good sleep, having low stress level, things like that. This last year I lived in a trailer, and I'm glad that I was able to live super minimally, because that was the priority that I had for this last year. I needed to be able to have as little as possible, spend as little as possible, take up the least amount of space possible, because I was in such a transition phase of really 6 months of kind of not having a home and waiting for my current home to be finished. So I needed to kind of live with as little as possible. So I don't regret that at all. It was the best decision, and it really made me tougher in learning to be content with what I have and learning to be creative with what I have. But also, that being said, I'm so thankful to have my house now. And even though my house isn't a lot of space, my cottage that I'm living in is only 580 square feet. So it's still tiny. It's still a tiny home. And I don't really need a lot of space. It's not even filled up. So I don't need a ton of space. But that being said, it is so nice to have things like a good quality oven to work in, counter space. That's been so nice. Some storage space, a larger pantry that I can see what I have. Those things have been so worth the money, so worth the time, so worth the effort. And I don't think I could live in a trailer long term. I know that there is people that can, and it's just because they have different priorities than I do. So overall, I feel like this last year went really good with my low spend year. And then going into this next year, I want to really focus on contentment, on not being cheap, not being so frugal that I'm anxious if I'm spending money, but being really intentional with the money that I'm spending and having wisdom with the money that I'm spending and focusing in on contentment and being thankful for what I have. I hope that this video helped you, and I hope that if you are in the process of kind of breaking some of those habits of just spending mindlessly, because that's the kind of world that we live in, I'm with you, and we're doing it together. We're learning alongside each other, and we're learning how to do it in a way that is rooted in wisdom and freedom. So please comment below what you aren't spending your money on, and what are you working on this next year to focus in on contentment. All right, I will see you in my next video, friends. Bye.